Here is Steve Malzberg.
I think Hamas intended to provoke Israel because that's why they started the rocket fire again. As I say, when I negotiated ceasefire, it held until just this month. And then Hamas, which has its back against the wall, decided to once again fire rockets into Israel. Israel made it clear that wasn't acceptable. Hamas kept doing it. Israel said, we have to stop the rockets. And then they discovered all these tunnels. So obviously Israel has a right to self-defense, but I and everybody who is seeing these terrible pictures on our TV hope there can be a ceasefire and try to end the killing and try to prevent the unbelievable heartbreak that we see happening.
All right, I welcome back, folks. That was Hillary Clinton, obviously. Did you know she negotiated the 2012 ceasefire? Yes, she did. I'm not sure what she means by, as she talked about the events leading up to where we are, that Hamas had its back against the wall, and that's why they started firing rockets into Israel. What on earth does that mean? Or Hamas felt they had their backs against the wall. What does that mean? I mean, I know she's not justifying it by saying that, even though it sounded like she was. I know she's too smart to do that. But what does it mean Hamas had its back against the wall? In what respect? How so? What is she talking about? See, I pick up the little things here, folks. That's why you watch the Steve Malzberg show. I don't know what that means. Hamas had its back against the wall and it started firing rockets into Israel. Huh? Okay, more.
The problem is, and this is something, I'm not a military planner, but Hamas puts its missiles, its rockets in civilian areas. Part of it is that Gaza's pretty small and it's very densely populated. They put their command and control of Hamas military leaders in those civilian areas. Israel, I know, has sent warnings and tried to get people to move. But in any kind of conflict, there are going to be civilian casualties, and we need to try to get to a ceasefire as soon as possible.
Right. We need to get to a ceasefire. You know, the problem is the Gaza is so small. Where do you expect Hamas to put the rockets in the military establishments? I mean, everybody lives on top of everybody. That's, again, there she's sounding like she's making a little bit of an excuse. First, Hamas had its back against the wall, so it started firing rockets into Israel. I'd love to know what the heck that meant. Now, you know, well, the problem, I'm no military expert, but, you know, it's a small little place, Gaza, so that's why Hamas puts its rockets in mosques and hospitals and schools. You see, there's really no other place to put them. All right. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what she's talking about. And because civilians are dying, we must stop it. But if we stop it, then Israel suffers because then Hamas wins. Hamas started it. Hamas to this moment won't stop it. And Hillary and Kerry and Obama say, oh no, we must stop it now for the good of the Palestinians. Because it's not for the good of the Israelis. I mean, I know the Israelis have lost 50 soldiers. But they're willing to lose more because what they're doing is for the future security of their country. And I love now you got U.S. Security officials saying, well, if Israel eradicates Hamas, who knows what'll be next? It probably will be something worse. Really? Really? So maybe they should just, you know, welcome Hamas to dinner. I can't even fathom what this administration has done, what we have become as a nation with our foreign policy. I know the nation supports Israel. I know the nation despises terrorists. I know the nation hasn't forgotten 9/11. But this administration has done a 180, ladies and gentlemen, a 180 on all of it. And it's disgusting, and it's scary, and it's dangerous for our security. All right, folks, we'll be back with historian and columnist Timothy Stanley and more of the show. But first, this hour's American Moment, we take a look back at the day we got a guy named Osama bin Laden.
In the early morning hours of May 2nd, 2011, the Central Intelligence Agency launched Operation Neptune Spear and set into motion a mission to bring one of the world's most notorious terrorists to justice. All indications were that Osama bin Laden was asleep as the U.S. Naval Special Warfare Development Group, known as SEAL Team 6, approached his highly secured three-story Pakistani-based compound. From entry to exit took approximately 45 minutes, with the bulk of time being used to gather up a plethora of al-Qaeda intelligence materials. When located in his living quarters on the third floor of his compound, the head of the Islamist group al-Qaeda was found using his young wife as a shield. The Obama administration reported the 54-year-old terrorist was given a traditional Islamic burial at sea.